Yo, it's your boy Locos. And today I want to do something a little different, something a little bit more laid back, and take this history quiz. I'm curious to see my level of knowledge, and even if I don't get everything right, this will at least expose me to new topics, new ideas, stuff that I can research further in my free time. Or maybe go over in future videos if you want me to. All you gotta do is just put in the comments down below. But either way, I think history is a good way to get a better grasp of the world and also get a better appreciation for the time you live in. A lot of amenities and comfort we do have today, they definitely didn't have in the past. So seeing the evolution of history, humanity, is something I do love doing. I think being appreciative of all the knowledge you have access to is something also to be grateful for. Our ancestors didn't have this much knowledge, literature, or literacy. I think just taking advantage of it is pretty cool and things to be grateful for. But let's get into it. I'm very curious to see what my level of knowledge is because I haven't been deep into my history stuff as late with politics and all this other stuff on my plate. But let's get into it.
Hi and welcome to this history quiz with a difference. There's no questions on dates. Well, maybe one, but that's all. I've set the level of this quiz for the average person to enjoy. So what that means is there's some easy questions and a few that you might find challenging. If you're a history professor, it's not for you. But for everybody else, have fun and here we go. A significant shift in human history, what's another term for the Neolithic Revolution? The agricultural, industrial or scientific?
Ooh, okay, so this isn't a question or a time period I have a lot of knowledge in. I want to say the agricultural revolution. Simply because of, I don't know, Neolithic. I'm thinking they're very ancient. So you will need the agricultural revolution so you can have more people, develop more cities and societies. And then that'll lead to, scientific revolutions. And then, follow up industrial revolution. But I could be wrong on this.
Scientific Revolution. And the answer is the Agricultural Revolution.
Okay, cool.
Mesopotamia, referred to as the cradle of civilization, was located in the region now known as
Middle East. That's like north of Iraq, Iran. I can't remember the exact location of Iraq, Iran right now. That little geography is a little bit foggy with me, but I know it's in that general area for sure.
as what? Central America, Central Africa, or the Middle East?
Definitely Middle East.
The correct answer here, the Middle East. The earliest known writing system, developed by the Sumerians, is known as what? Hieroglyphics, cuneiform, or pictographs? And just so you know, the questions are mostly in chronological order.
Yeah, I definitely say cuneiform.
And the correct answer, cuneiform. What did the Sumerians use to write on? Paper, papyrus, or clay tablets?
I'm not sure about this one. I want to say clay tablets. Because, I know papyrus, I was
and
the
they
Egyptians.
Used clay tablets.
Okay, cool.
The Great Pyramid of Giza is believed to be which pharaoh's tomb? Ramesses II's, Tutankhamun's, or Khufu's?
Okay, I'm not sure about this one. I'm gonna just say Ramesses II.
And it's believed to be the tomb of Khufu.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Hammurabi's Code is one of the earliest known sets of written laws. Who was Hammurabi? Was he a priest, king, or warrior?
I think he was a king in the Mesopotamian, region of the Middle East.
And he was a king. Who was inside the famous Trojan horse?
Oh, this is pretty easy.
Was it Greek, Trojan, or Persian warriors?
Greek warriors. And if you're very interested in the more of the history and the background, the evidence of Troy existing, check out Our Fake History. It's a podcast on Spotify. I'm pretty sure it's on Apple Music, other places too. But I think he did a 5 or 3-part series talking about Troy and the history of it and whether or not it's real or not. So if you're interested in that stuff, check it out. It's pretty interesting.
And it was Greek warriors. According to the legend, ancient Rome was founded by two brothers, Romulus and who? Remus, Romus, or Augustus? And the correct answer is Romulus and Remus. Where is considered the birthplace of democracy?
Athens.
Rome, Damascus, or Athens?
And that's part of the reason why they have Persian-Greek war with the Themistocles and Leonidas is such a big emphasized battle or war because it could have, like, maybe changed the future of democracy and civilization if you didn't have democracy flourishing within Greece and the city states, and it would have fell to Persian Empire. Who knows, stuff might have still came about, but it probably would have been very differently. At least I would say. But who knows, I could be wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments.
The correct answer there, Athens, whose teachings were recorded by his disciples in a collection known as the Analects. Confucius's, Jesus's, or Buddha's?
Got no idea. I want to say Confucius? Oh, that's just a guess.
And the answer, Confucius.
Oh, okay.
Which metal alloy was largely replaced by iron for weapons and tools during the Iron Age? Brass, bronze, or steel?
Bronze.
And the answer, bronze. The Peloponnesian War, an ancient Greek war, was fought between Athens and who? Sparta, Troy, or Argos?
Sparta. And that's part of the reason why I guess you could say the Greek Golden Age, I can't remember the exact term is used to describe the age where the city-states of Greece flourished and was at the height of their power. But the Peloponnesian War is part of the reason why that came apart. Throwing in so much manpower, so much resources, fighting each other, destroying your own land and country for territory or disputes. And then it's a stalemate for so much of it because Sparta couldn't match Athens in the sea, and Athens couldn't match the Spartans on land in land battles. So you just have a stalemate with constant death, destruction, and loss of economic or, physical population because of warfare. And it's part of the reason why the Greek Golden Age fell apart. And then you had the Romans coming in and conquering them.
And the answer is Sparta. Alexander the Great was the king of which ancient kingdom? Egypt, Persia, or Macedonia?
Macedonia. Sometimes I like to call it Macedonia, but I usually say Macedonia.
And he was the king of Macedonia. Who was Alexander the Great's famous teacher, known for his philosophical teachings? Was it Socrates, Aristotle, or Plato?
I'm 99% sure it's Aristotle. Pretty sure. And it's kind of crazy, like, imagine your tutor being one of the greatest philosophers of all time. But then also imagine your student being one of, if not the greatest conqueror of all time. That's pretty insane to imagine.
And it was Aristotle.
Yep.
The famous Rosetta Stone has a message carved in three types of writing: Greek, Demotic, and which other? Hebrew, Latin, or hieroglyphics?
Hieroglyphics. And see, this is what made the Rosetta Stone, for my understanding, such a big discovery and find, is because it was having three types of writing. So even if they couldn't understand the ancient hieroglyphics, they could understand ancient Greek, or Greek, whatever form it may have been, and they could use that to make different translations and other things to connect what these symbols actually meant and what the language actually meant to the ancient Egyptians that used it for the form of writing or a form of system of organization or anything else. And it was one of the most important discoveries, in my opinion, I think, of the 20th century. I believe it happened in the 1900s. I could be wrong on that because I'm not a Egyptologist or anything close to that, but that's my memory of it. So I could be wrong on that, but yeah, it's definitely hieroglyphics. And that was a very important discovery for human civilization and history in general.
And the answer is hieroglyphics. Who was the last pharaoh of Egypt? Was it Ramesses II, Tutankhamun, or Cleopatra?
Cleopatra. That's when the Romans came in and conquered everything.
And it was Cleopatra.
Augustus.
Who was the first emperor?
Augustus, and his second in command that I don't think gets enough credit as he should, Marcus Agrippa. I'm of the opinion that if it wasn't for Marcus Agrippa, we might not even know, we probably wouldn't even know who Augustus was, or it'd be just like a small footnote compared to all the other people, or similar to all the other people that Augustus himself did beat out for the place of, I don't know, Princeps, the first man of Rome, or just being the most powerful man in Rome. He could have been one of those people he beat out of the way if it wasn't for Marcus Agrippa. That's just how I see it. He was that important, especially in battles, and loyalty, and just being trustworthy and disciplined.
Emperor of Rome. Augustus, Nero, or Hadrian? And there's a bonus point if you can give his other name. The answer is
Gaius Octavian. I feel like I'm missing a little bit more to his name. I know for a fact Octavian is in it, but I can't remember his exact full name. It gets a little bit confusing because I think he had a father, like a stepfather, but it's been like a few months since I read his book by Adrian Goldsberry, which is a very good book.
Is Augustus, who is considered the first pope of the Roman Catholic Church.
I think it's...
Is it John, Paul, or Peter?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know how I forgot this. I want to say Peter?
And the correct answer is Peter.
Okay, cool.
Which ancient civilization is known for inventing true paper?
Chinese.
The Egyptians, Chinese, or Greeks?
That's a pretty easy one, Chinese.
And that was invented by the Chinese. The Roman Empire reached its greatest territorial extent under which emperor?
Trajan.
Nero, Hadrian, or Trajan?
Definitely Trajan. And I know that for a fact too. It'd be crazy if I'm wrong on this, but I want to say I know that for a fact too, because Hadrian came after Trajan and he pulled back on the borders, or he like confined the borders within his territory by building walls in Britain and making strategic defenses in other places, because he could see that the Roman Empire couldn't expand further without being weakened everywhere else or someplace else. And of course, at a certain point, empires get a max length or a max amount of territory because it's just hard to maintain all that much territory. You have other empires, you have foreign tribes, you have quote unquote barbarians like from Germany and other places. You just can't control all this different stuff. So I want to say for a fact that it was Trajan, and I especially know that too because he conquered like parts of the Persian or the Parthian Empire, where Mouse Cursor is in the Middle East, and then like soon after his death, that territory was lost. So it didn't really last long either. But yeah, he did conquer the greatest amount of territory. Or when he was emperor, the empire was at its greatest extent in terms of territory. You could make an argument not necessarily in power because of how weak they were, especially with like civil wars and stuff like that. But still, he was a great emperor in my opinion. Not the best.
And that was under Trajan.
Yep.
The Dark Ages began with the fall of which empire?
The Romans.
The Persian, Greek, or Roman?
It's a pretty easy one. It's the Roman Empire. And it's even easier if you understand that the Dark Ages is a term that's really not used that much anymore, because especially when you consider the fact that the term Dark Ages is a very Eurocentric word. Dark Ages try to imply that the whole world or history was in a dark age, but that's definitely not the case. The Middle East and I believe China was living through like a golden age, or it was definitely not a dark age at all. So this whole idea that the dark ages existed just really isn't the case, unless you just want to look at Europe after the fall of the Roman Empire. But even if I understand, that wasn't the case in every single place. But yeah, there was a definite significant drop in progress, sophistication, trade, population, and scale of warfare for hundreds of years, like for hundreds and hundreds of years. You had battles between the Romans and civil wars, honestly, or with foreign powers or foreign empires that would have like 30,000, 40,000 men on both sides, and they'll fight it out. You'll be lucky to have like a 4,000 man army within the medieval times. Dark Ages, even less, maybe a quarter of that. And it really is crazy how much empire or how much civilization, at least within the West and certain areas, collapsed after the fall of the Romans. But it made sense. You had these whole systems, a lot of these places like Gaul, modern day France, modern day Britain, a lot of these places, Spain, didn't have the same level of technology and sophistication until the Romans came in, until that empire expanded and conquered France/Gaul, Spain, and Britain, and some places of Germany. It just is what it is.
And that was with the fall of the Roman Empire. Around 637-38, which army captured the holy city of Jerusalem? The Muslim, Christian, or Jewish?
Sisters. Okay, I'm not entirely sure about this one, to be honest with you. Because the Romans, the Byzantine Empire continued after the Roman Empire fell in, I think, like the late 300s or the early 400s AD. So it's like 637, about 200 years after. And then you have the Islamic explosion during the Byzantine Empire. I want to say it's either, I'm going to just go with Muslim. I think that makes the most sense, but I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it's Muslim.
And it was captured by the Muslim army.
Okay.
In which ancient civilization was gunpowder invented?
Oh, that's Chinese.
Chinese, Greek, or Roman?
The Greeks did have a form of, like, it was called, not the Greeks, well, yeah, the Greeks, but the Byzantines, they had like a type of fire that was called like Greek fire or Byzantine fire or something similar to that. And it would like burn on water, from my understanding. I think it was like an early type of like napalm, but that's not the same as gunpowder. That's the only thing that could possibly throw you off on this question. Because the Romans damn sure didn't have any gunpowder. Imagine the Romans with their ballistas and everything they already had having gunpowder too. That would have just been ridiculous.
And that, once again, was the Chinese. Name the Norse explorer, who is often credited with being the first European to set foot in North America. Harold Bluetooth, Leif Erikson, or Eric Bloodaxe.
It's funny, one of the main, I think my first hearing of the name Leif Erikson was actually from SpongeBob. In that episode, it's also Leif Erikson Day, and he had that like Viking helmet on. Until like, and that was like when I was like 5-6 years old, but I didn't actually like know for sure about his existence, what he did, until like middle school or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of funny. SpongeBob exposed you to history at such a young age.
And it was Leif Erikson. The Norman conquest of England took place in which year? 1066, 1099, or 1014?
This is an easy question. Check out, if you like love history and you're curious about alternate history, I would first tell you to check out Alternate History Hub. He has some really good content. He's on YouTube, and maybe if you want me to, I'll react to his stuff. But also check out Dan Carlin's like a short little podcast episode he did on 1066 and how so many things could have gone differently. Honestly, it's kind of amazing in like a crazy type of way that 1066 happened, and by that I'm saying William the Conqueror and his whole conquest being successful. So many things could have gone differently, and he could have lost. Not to mention Godwin's son getting the arrow to the eye, and that just turned the whole battle. After, from my understanding, he was winning for the majority of it. History just turns on a dime sometimes.
And I promise this is the only question on dates. The answer is 1066. And who was the Norman leader who led the conquest and became the new King of England? Was it Harold Hardrada, Richard the Lionheart, or William the Conqueror?
William the Conqueror. And that's kind of like a whole crazy little political situation that got him to have a claim on the British throne leading to this whole conquest. So if you're interested in what led William the Conqueror to get to this point, there's plenty of videos and resources on YouTube. You can easily find it. I think, I can't remember, there's one YouTube channel that does like animated history videos, and they'll go through like timelines of people's like biographies, or they'll just do specific history events like this. I can't remember the exact names, I just watched videos on them, but if I can't remember, I'll put it in the comments down below or in the description.
And it was William the Conqueror. Which university, founded in the 11th century, holds the title of the oldest university in continuous operation in the world? The University of Bologna, Oxford, or York?
I want to say York. I feel like Oxford
And
is
the
like an
correct
easy
answer
one.
in my terrible Italian accent is
Oh,
Bologna.
okay, I'm absolutely fucking wrong on
What
that.
was the objective of the First Crusade? Was it to convert Africans to Christianity, recapture the Holy Lands, or rescue the Vatican from invasion?
Yeah, definitely recapture the Holy Lands. It's kind of funny, like from my understanding and from my research on it, the Crusades thing was much more politically influenced and politically nuanced than people really want to, I don't know, look at it or take it to be. They want to just look at it like a Muslim Christian thing. But it's kind of funny, Christians, Jews, and other people was free to go through the Holy Land and pay their respects how they saw fit for a long time. And they was pretty protective, my understanding. It seemed like politics had a lot more to do with this type of stuff. That's actually religious stuff. But people getting their feelings, they want to make it some type of modern day battle or modern day crusade, so they just want to go to propaganda. But whatever.
And it was to recapture the Holy Lands. Which holy city was the main focus for the Crusaders to recapture from Muslim control? Was it Mecca, Jerusalem, or Medina?
Jerusalem.
And the answer, Jerusalem. Whose birth name was Temujin and established what became the largest land empire in history? Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, or Cyrus the Great?
I can't emphasize this enough. If you want to learn more about the Mongols and Genghis Khan and his conquests and that type of stuff, check out Wrath of the Khans from Dan Carlin. I'm telling you, it is some of the best episodes that I've listened to in terms of history podcasts. And that includes the history of Rome, history of Byzantium, or many of the other history podcast episodes he has. Not to mention Our Fake History and YouTube stuff. His Wrath of the Khans episode is amazing. And it goes into him and his sons and the dynasty of the Mongols. I'm telling you, check it out. You won't regret it. And honestly, me bringing it up now probably gonna make me want to go and watch it. I'm sorry, listen to it today after I finish recording. But who knows, with football coming on Sunday, I have European football in the morning, and I have baseball too with the playoffs starting, and NFL football on Sundays. Who knows if I'll get around to it, but yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to that series again this week if I can. It is excellent.
And the correct answer, Genghis Khan. Which is a title granted by the emperor to a military commander or general in ancient Japan? Ronin, samurai, or shogun?
It says military commander, and there's an emperor. So I'm gonna say, wait, no, because you don't have to. Just because you're a samurai doesn't mean you're a general. So I feel like the correct question or the correct answer gonna be shogun. But I don't know. When I think of shogun, I think of like you're like equivalent to the emperor. You're not just a military commander. You're like the guy. You're like a military dictator with the shogun. Especially when you know some history of Japan where the shogun like manipulated or just had the emperor as a puppet. So I'm not really sure about this one, but I'll say shogun.
And the correct answer, shogun.
Okay.
What is the common name of the Royal Charter of Rights agreed to
Magna
by King
Carta.
John of England in 1215? Is it the Declaration of England, the Magna Carta, or the Great Constitution?
Magna Carta. And this is such an important document. I could be wrong on this, and maybe if I am wrong, let me know. But it kind of like set the foundation for future documents similar to this, like our Constitution of the United States. When you have the people rising up against a tyrannical king, you set the foundations for the people using their own power for their own benefit. And now I'm not talking about like, rich or, the nobility. I'm talking about, the citizens to help keep the whole kingdom afloat. They're not just letting the tyrannical king do whatever he wants, steal property, steal people's wives, do endless wars for nobody benefit, and causing the whole country to suffer because of his own, pride, ego, or wishes. So this document is very, very important.
And the answer, the Magna Carta. Marco Polo was a Venetian merchant and explorer known for his journeys from Europe to which continent? Africa, Asia, or North America?
Definitely Asia. And from my understanding, he did have some interactions with the Mongols, but it wasn't with Genghis Khan. It was with one of Genghis Khan's sons. I think the son that followed up Genghis Khan, from my understanding, but I could be wrong on that. And that whole thing with Genghis Khan and his sons and how that led to the Mongol dynasty falling apart is very, very interesting. And Dan Carlin does go into that in the podcast. So yeah, definitely check it out, man. I'm gonna have to listen to that shit today.
And the answer there is Asia. What was the capital city of the Aztec Empire, known for its grand architecture and intricate canal system?
I can't say that. Tenochtitlan?
Tenochtitlan,
Oh,
Rio Bec,
Tenochtitlan.
or Cusco?
If it wasn't for Civilization 6 or 5, I might have gotten this wrong. But I doubt it because I never heard of Cusco or Rio Bec before.
And the correct answer, Tenochtitlan. Which two countries fought the Hundred Years' War from 1337 to 1453? England and France, Germany and Spain, or Portugal and Italy?
England and France is an easy one. I want to get more into this war, but it's so long and it's like, well, I'm thinking about the 30 Years' War. That's all. That's a war that's pretty complicated too. I want to get into this war too. And from my understanding, let me know, please clarify in the comments down below, because I'm probably wrong on this. This isn't the War of the Roses, correct? Because I know you have the War of the Roses, you have the 30 Years' War, then you have the 100-Year War, and I believe Joan of Arc showed up in this one, correct? If I'm wrong, let me know, please.
That was between England and France. The Black Death is believed to have originated where before spreading to Europe?
Asia.
South America, Africa, or Asia?
Asia. It's funny, if you look up the Justinian plague, that was a plague, Yersinia pestis, very similar, the exact same thing that came and knocked out Europe. It showed up hundreds of years earlier during the reign of Justinian, and when he was trying to reconquer the Roman Empire, and also at the same time he was fighting off the Persian I don't think it was still the Parthians, the Sassanid Empire. That was just a new form of the Persian Empire or the Parthian Empire on their borders in the Middle East. So yeah, the Yersinia pestis, the Black Death, it had showed up even before this.
And it spread from Asia. Between 1347 and 1351, the Black Death killed approximately what percent of Europe's population? 5 to 10, 30 to 60, or 70 to 90?
30 to 60.
And it wiped out 30 to 60%.
Jeez, that's
Which
a lot.
Italian city is considered the birthplace of the Renaissance? Florence, Rome, or Venice?
I want to say Venice. To be honest with you, I don't know much about this era. Excuse me. But I want to say Venice because I played Assassin's Creed 2 growing up, and that's one of my favorite video games of all time. And you constantly just engrossed within the Renaissance era, meeting the different people, seeing the different art. The architecture is so beautiful. I love that game so much. So I'm going to go with Venice. Pretty sure it's
And the
Venice.
correct answer, Florence.
Fuck.
What was the capital city of the Inca Empire, renowned for its intricate stonework and terraced architecture?
I got no idea.
Cusco, Tikal, or Quito?
I got no idea. I would say Tikal. Yeah, this time I don't.
The correct answer is Cusco.
Okay, yeah. So that's what Cusco.
Who was the last Byzantine emperor who died defending Constantinople from the Ottoman Turks? Was it Justinian I, Constantine XI, or Theo I?
Constantine the 11th.
And it was Constantine XI. In 1492, Columbus set sail from Spain on his first voyage to find a new route to where? Asia, South America, or Southern Africa?
Asia. Which is why,
And he was
Indians.
looking for a new route to Asia.
Yeah.
Columbus's voyage was sponsored by which monarchs of Spain? Ferdinand and Isabella, Henry and Anne, or Carlos and Marie?
I'm really not that sure, but I do have like a foggy memory of I think of Isabella being tied to his story. So I'm gonna go with Isabella. But to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure. It's a guess.
And it was Ferdinand and Isabella.
Okay, cool.
Columbus's fleet consisted of 3 ships, the Nina, Pinta, and which other? The Santa Susana,
Santa Maria?
Maria, or Clara?
Pretty sure Santa Maria. I don't know much about this whole age of
And
exploration.
it was the Santa Maria.
Okay, cool.
Columbus encountered land on October the 12th, 1492, in the present-day Bahamas. What did he name the island? Hispaniola, Nassau, or San Salvador?
I want to say Hispaniola.
And he named it San Salvador.
Okay, I had no idea. That was a
Which
guess.
of these is not a crop that was brought to Europe from the New World? Maize, potatoes, or apples?
I'm definitely gonna say maize. One of the reasons I want to say maize is because I do have a memory of like the South America, America civilizations, having like their own like agricultural system, and I do remember maize or like corn, something similar to corn or something like it, being used for like food and stuff like that. Also, I know it from Civilization 6. So honestly, if it wasn't for Civilization 6, playing the game and seeing the actual resource maize on the map, I probably wouldn't even know what maize looked like, and I probably wouldn't be able to tie it to the New World. So I'm going to say maize, but once again, it's just a guess. I'm 95% sure it's not potatoes.
The answer is apples.
Oh, damn.
When Portugal and Spain started forming colonies in the New World, they initially forced whom to work on their plantations? Indigenous people, European prisoners, or French peasants?
I want to say
And they used
indigenous
people.
Yeah, it don't make sense.
Which European nation started the transatlantic slave trade in the early 16th century? Was it Spain, Portugal, or England?
I want to say Portugal. Or Spain. I don't think it was England. I'm saying that mostly because of location, and I do have a memory of Portugal and Spain being one of the major players of the age of exploration. But I'm not exactly sure, but I'm gonna say Portugal.
The others later became involved with it too, but it was started by Portugal.
Okay, cool. I was right.
Over more than 300 years, approximately how many enslaved Africans were transported across the Atlantic? 1 million, 5 million, or 12 million?
12 million.
By all the nations that were involved in it, the answer is over 12 million. Between 1508 and 1512, the Sistine Chapel ceiling was painted by which artist?
Michelangelo.
Raphael, Michelangelo, or Leonardo da Vinci?
I want to say Michelangelo. It's either him or Raphael, I think.
And that was by Michelangelo.
Okay, I was right.
In 1517, who is said to have nailed a copy of his 95 Theses to the door of a church in Germany?
Oh, man.
Nicolaus Copernicus, Martin Luther, or Leonardo da Vinci?
Listen, I know I said check out Wrath of the Cons by Dan Carlin, but also, I'm telling you, won't regret this. Check out his episode where he talks about Martin Luther and Jan van Leyden and this crazy story of this religious figures who kind of take over a town and claim that doomsday is gonna come to the whole world except for the people of this town and of the people that follow Van Leyden and the other people that's within his like cult. I'm telling you, it's really crazy as hell. All the different events that take place, how this guy uses his power, but multiple guys use their power against their own people that believe in them. But these people really see this guy as like a messiah, and all this stuff takes place after Martin Luther nails his 95 Thesis to the church door. But I'm telling you, check out the episode. I can't remember the exact name of it from Dan Carlin. I'll try to look it up and see if I can put it in before the end of the video so you can see it for yourself. But it's really good. Oh, I remember now. It's called Prophets of Doom. I'm telling you, man, that episode was one of the craziest history stories I ever heard. And it's an example of what makes history so crazy and interesting because it's real life stories with crazy ass twists, characters, and turns in it. So check it out. It's called Prophets of Doom from Dan Carlin.
And that was Martin Luther, who is famous for leading the first expedition to circumnavigate the globe in 1519 to 22. Ferdinand Magellan, Christopher Columbus, or James Cook?
Magellan.
And he died on the journey from a poisoned arrow. The answer is Ferdinand Magellan.
Yeah.
Name the Spanish conquistador who is best remembered for capturing the Aztec
Cortez.
capital. Was it Hernan Cortes, Juan Carlos, or Miguel de Cervantes?
Definitely Cortez.
And the answer is Hernan Cortes. Which Polish astronomer proposed the heliocentric model of the solar system, challenging the geocentric view? Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, or Nicolaus Copernicus?
I want to say Galilei. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not Copernicus. I know he did contribute a lot to science, but I think it was Galileo that said this from my memory. And he's the one that got prosecuted or harassed by the church for saying the obvious. Because you can't say the obvious when you want to control people in their minds.
And it was Nicolaus Copernicus.
Oh, that was one.
What is Queen Elizabeth I's father's name? He was known for his 6 marriages. Was it King Henry VII, Edward VI, or Henry VIII?
It was King Henry VIII, because wasn't he a piece of shit?
And he is King Henry VIII.
Yeah.
The modern Gregorian calendar was introduced to replace which earlier calendar system? The Julian, Islamic, or Mayan?
Julian.
And it replaced the Julian calendar.
Yep, Julius Caesar.
Name the settlement established in 1607 that became the first permanent English settlement in North America. Was it Plymouth, Jamestown, or Rochester?
I feel like it's kind of tricky.
And
I'm
it
saying
was
Jamestown. Yeah, okay.
In 1610, one of Galileo's major discoveries was his observation of 4 moons orbiting which planet? Jupiter, Mars, or Saturn?
Okay, I'm not sure about this, so I'm gonna say
and the answer
Mars.
is Jupiter.
Okay, fuck.
Who led the parliamentary forces in the English civil wars and became Lord Protector of England in 1653?
Cromwell?
Was it Charles I, Oliver Cromwell, or Richard III?
It gotta be Cromwell, I think.
And that was Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah.
Whose groundbreaking work introduced his laws of motion and the laws of universal gravitation in 1687? Alessandro Volta, Michael Faraday, or Isaac Newton?
Isaac Newton. That's pretty easy.
And that was Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
Which country is considered the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution? The United Kingdom, Germany, or France?
I want to say United Kingdom. Could be Germany, but I'll say UK.
And the answer, the United Kingdom.
Okay, right. Good.
The use of which new energy source played a crucial role in driving machinery during the Industrial Revolution? Electrical, wind, or steam power?
Steam. Yeah, pretty sure it's steam. Definitely not wind.
And that was steam power.
Yeah.
What was the primary reason for the 1773 Boston Tea Party? Was it a protest against taxes, slavery, or working conditions?
Taxes.
And it was a protest against taxes. Who was appointed the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolution? Was it Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, or John Adams?
George Washington. And if you're interested in me doing reaction to the different battles or wars done by oversimplified history videos, I'll definitely do that. I like his content.
And it was George Washington. In 1776, how many American colonies declared their independence from Great Britain? 11, 12, or 13? And if you're from the States, you should definitely know these. The answer is 13.
Yeah.
In 1776, Dr. Edward Jenner created the world's first successful vaccine. What was it for? Polio, measles, or smallpox?
I want to say smallpox.
And it was for smallpox.
Okay, good. Good.
Who surrendered to George Washington, effectively ending the American Revolutionary War? Was it General Cornwallis, Clinton, or Gage?
Definitely got. Unless you mean, because from my memory, I could be wrong on this, but didn't Cornwallis, he felt too prideful or egotistic to actually formally surrender himself, to Washington. So he's saying subordinate to go and do it. So I could be wrong, or I could get this wrong because of that. But I want to say Cornwallis. That's a safe choice.
And it was General Cornwallis.
Okay, cool.
What was stormed by protesters in 1789,
The Bastille.
marking the start of the French Revolution? The Notre Dame Cathedral, the Bastille, or the Palace of Versailles?
It was first the Bastille.
And the answer, the Bastille. Who was the last Queen of France before the French Revolution?
Marie Antoinette.
Was it Marie Antoinette, Anne of Brittany, or Isabella of France?
That's the easy one. Everybody knows who Marie Antoinette is.
And the answer is Marie Antoinette. A rebellion by slaves resulted in the establishment of which independent Caribbean country in 1804?
Haiti.
Jamaica, Barbados, or Haiti? And the correct answer is Haiti. In 1804, who was crowned Emperor of the French? Napoleon Bonaparte, Louis XVI, or Francis I?
Napoleon.
And the correct answer, Napoleon Bonaparte. In 1805, the British Royal Navy, under Nelson, defeated the French and Spanish navies at which famous battle?
Trafalgar.
Waterloo, Trafalgar, or Gravelines? And the correct answer, the Battle of Trafalgar. Who was nicknamed the Liberator for helping nations become independent from Spain? Simon Bolivar, Augusto Pinochet, or Che Guevara?
I want to say Simon Bolivar, but I'm not too
And
sure
it
on
was
this one.
Simon Bolivar.
Okay, cool. I thought so.
Who led the British force to defeat Napoleon at Waterloo
easy.
in
Duke
1815?
of Wellington.
Was it Horatio Nelson, James Cook, or the Duke of Wellington?
Horatio Nelson was the admiral at Battle of Trafalgar, but Wellington was the
And
general.
it was the Duke of Wellington.
Yep.
Which battle, fought in 1863, is often considered the turning point in the American Civil War? The Battle of Bull Run, Gettysburg, or Vicksburg?
Battle of Gettysburg. I'm gonna say that for a fact. That's what the answer gonna be. But I think if you take like a closer look at the overall war, you could really say it's like Vicksburg or Sherman's like campaign in the South when he cut through Georgia, and he like I can't think of the exact term you want to use for it, but he just undermined the civilian population and underwritten like the ability of the army of the South to get supplies and maintain a line of communications. I can't remember the exact book it is. I just had it in my car and I just looked at it today. But there's a book that talks about just tactics and the importance of the lines of communications. And it looks at generals that didn't just fight head on. They use tactics and terrain and maneuverability to win battles before the battles even started, by taking out resources, by controlling strategic points like rivers or roads, or just cutting off lines of communication. And lines of communication be like supply lines or how to get messages back and forth, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna say Gettysburg.
And the correct answer is the Battle of Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Who did Robert E. Lee surrender to on April the 9th, 1865, effectively ending the American Civil War?
Grant.
Ulysses S. Grant, Abraham Lincoln, or Joseph Hooker?
I don't think Grant gets enough credit. He doesn't get enough like attention, and he don't get talked about enough, at least within American history or American politics, as he should be compared to other presidents. He tried to do a lot of stuff, and he did do some. And when I say he tried to do a lot of good stuff, I'm saying after the war, once he was president. But yeah, during the war, and especially when you consider like the issues he had, along with Sherman, mental issues, along with like alleged alcoholism, he was able to overcome of that stuff. Both of these guys were, and lead the Union Army to victory in the Civil War. I wish more people knew about this side of history involving him. But I'm probably gonna check out his book. So there was a guy, I can't remember his name right now, but there was a book on Ulysses Grant that was released pretty recently over the past few years. I'm gonna read and check out more.
And he surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. In 1893, who became the first self-governing country to allow all adult women to vote? The United States, Canada, or New Zealand?
I know it's not the United States, because unless I'm like crazily wrong on this, I could be, I'm not perfect. But from my memory, the United States didn't have allowed women to vote until like the 1900s. I want to say like around the 1920s or 30s, I think. I want to go with Canada. It could be New Zealand, but I can't. But if New Zealand could have been a British like colony or territory. I'm not exactly sure at all about the history of New Zealand, So I'm gonna go with Canada. But wait. Why not? Canada was a colony of Great Britain. Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna go with New Zealand. I got no idea. Truly no idea.
And that was New Zealand.
Okay, good. Yeah, that it makes sense.
Who discovered and named X-rays in 1895? Was it Tesla, Röntgen, or Edison?
I think it was Edison. I got no idea. I'm gonna go with Edison.
And the correct answer is Röntgen.
Okay, yeah, I got no idea about that.
Who is credited with sending and receiving the first transatlantic radio signal in 1901? Was it Marconi, Tesla, or Edison?
I can't remember this answer. I'm gonna go
That
with
was
Edison.
Marconi.
Okay, yeah, no idea.
What was the approximate duration of the Wright brothers' first successful flight in 1903? Was it 12 seconds, 90 seconds, or 3 minutes?
I have no idea. I'm just guess and go with 12 seconds. But if you're interested in the history of flight and going into the whole who was the actual first person to do a successful flight, check out Our Fake History, where he talks about the history of flight and talks about other people that could have been the first people to discover, I'm sorry, not discover flight, but have the first successful flight. And there was actually competitions for this type of stuff in France and other countries. There's a South American, maybe Brazilian guy, I think he might have been Brazilian, but definitely South American, that some people claim was the first person to do actual flight, a successful flight, but I'm not too sure. But definitely check out the episode if you're interested in that. It's really good.
And it was just 12 seconds.
Yeah, that makes sense. If your first flight.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in which city,
Sarajevo.
sparking the events that started World War I? Berlin, Paris, or Sarajevo?
Definitely Sarajevo.
And that was in Sarajevo. When in 1914 was there an unofficial and impromptu ceasefire to the war on the Western Front?
Christmas.
At Easter, Christmas, or New Year's Day?
Christmas Day.
And that happened at Christmas.
Yep.
Who led the Bolsheviks in the Russian Revolution of 1917? Was it Joseph Stalin, Grigory Rasputin, or Vladimir Lenin?
I want to say Vladimir Lenin. And part of the reason why I want to say Vladimir Lenin is because I know that it was Lenin. I'm 99% sure it was Lenin who said to make sure that Stalin doesn't get control or in power after Lenin's death and control of the country, because he was too brutal. He was kind of too brutal, but he was too brutal from Lenin's point of view and totalitarian. So that's kind of crazy. You're so totalitarian and crazy and bloodlustful or just power hungry that even Vladimir Lenin could see that you would be a problem. And he's a communist just like you. That's crazy.
And it was Vladimir Lenin.
Okay, cool. Thought so.
Name the peace treaty signed in 1919 by Germany and the Allied nations, formally ending World War I. Was it the Treaty of Berlin, Versailles, or London?
Versailles. Definitely Treaty of Versailles. I know this because, well, of course, Hitler, he threw that shit out the window once he moved his troops into the Rhineland. And also, the Treaty of Versailles, like I could say, have like a direct link to World War II happening. Just how harsh it was, and how it let somebody like Hitler be able to convince people he could fix things because of economics, and the anger because of losing this war. Like, you have to remember, Germany was under siege, basically blockade by the British Navy throughout the whole war of World War I, and it was terrible. People were starving. I'm not saying that to say that Britain did a bad thing. That's just war. But yeah, people suffered because of this stuff, because of the decisions of the Kaiser of Germany, of the military leaders like von Moltke and all the other people that was involved with the war, and the major generals making decisions that, which at a certain point during the war and up until this end, it had more power than the actual civilian government, to be honest with you. So yeah, definitely Treaty of Versailles.
And it was the Treaty of Versailles. What was the common name given to the 1918-20 flu pandemic that killed an estimated 50 million people? Was it the Spanish, Asian, or Hong Kong flu?
Spanish flu. It's crazy. You had the First World War with modern like weapons, guns, artillery. You start to have tanks rolling out, trenches. You have men dying from disease and all types of horrible things all across the globe because of this world war. And then at the tail end of it, you get hit with a major pandemic that killed off 50 million additional people on top of all the other people that died and are suffering with wounds or trauma because of the war, in addition to the people and countries that are trying to recover from the war economically, physically, mentally. Like, come on, like, it's just insane. Just the stuff that you getting hit with year after year after year within this like 10-year or 15-year span of like 1910 to like 1925. Not even mentioning leading up to, the Great Depression. I think there was like a recession too, like all these different things. And if you're a German, then you have like the stuff I said, the blockade, and then you have the economy falling apart and Hitler moving in. It's just a crazy time from 1910 to like 1950. But you can keep going on to the Cold War, just constant tension going on.
And it was the Spanish flu. What event in October 1929 is often considered the starting point of the Great Depression? The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Wall Street crash, or Polish-Soviet War?
Yeah, the Wall Street crash.
It was the Wall Street crash.
Yeah, that's so.
World War II began in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland, prompting Britain and who else to declare war on Germany? France, the United
Okay, it was France. Yeah. I wasn't like paying attention when you had the crash. I was still thinking about the last one.
States, or
It's
Soviet
France.
Union?
Who knows if France and Britain, would have just invaded Germany when they invaded Poland instead of, sitting there waiting on their border, could they expecting a similar war to World War One, also not being that prepared for it? Well, they should have been because, tensions, constant of Hitler trying to get more territory. They should have been prepared for this. But from my understanding, they would have just invaded Germany right when Germany invaded Poland. They could have just, marched in and stopped all this suffering and death and destruction from 1939 up until like 1945 from happening, from my understanding of it.
And it was France. Which event on December the 7th, 1941 led to the
Pearl
United
Harbor.
States entering World War II? The D-Day landings, the attack on Pearl Harbor, or the Battle of Stalingrad?
Who knows how the world could have went if this didn't happen? Because Pearl Harbor officially pulled the United States into war physically. Like, of course, we had the Lend-Lease. We were giving weapons and equipment over and over again to the Allies. But that's different than actually having your troops fight in these battles and actually putting them on the front lines, especially when you have France already out the war. At that point, you just have, Britain and their colonies and some other, countries that's like, independent, that's also part of Allies. But for the most part, you're just really relying on Britain to keep up the fight. And that's until Hitler idiotically decided to invade the Soviet Union. So at least you have another huge ally to work with. But who knows how the world could have been if Pearl Harbor didn't happen. Because Pearl Harbor happens, that pulls America fighting against Japan. And Hitler, like an idiot, declares war on the United States for no reason at all, just because, I don't know, solidarity or just being crazy and stupid. I don't know. But either way, I'm glad he did it, because if he didn't do that, the United States may have not have joined the war. Or if they did, they might have did it at a later point when there's less resources and less help from allies. Especially if, Hitler just doesn't invade the Soviet Union. He just didn't have to do that.
And it was
Logically.
the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Of course, mentally, philosophy.
Name the top secret
content.
World War II government program that produced nuclear weapons.
Manhattan Project.
Was it the Area 51 project, the Manhattan Project, or the Gemini program? And it was the Manhattan Project. What were the names of the 2 atomic bombs dropped on Japan in 1945? Little Boy and Fat Man, Trinity and Alamos, or Alpha and Omega?
Little boy, fat man.
And it was Little Boy and Fat Man. After World War II, where were the war crimes trials held for the Nazi Germany leaders? Berlin, Paris, or Nuremberg?
Nuremberg. If you haven't checked out the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., in the United States, definitely check it out. I went to over the past couple months, and it hits you pretty hard. It is pretty incredible. And I don't know, you just appreciate the time you live in. And also you just have even deeper appreciation for the men that fought and lost their lives, or lost their sanity, or lost so many different things, of friends, family, mothers, fathers, everybody that suffered because of this war and paid the price to make it stop and save these people. It's crazy. Definitely check out that museum.
And they were held in Nuremberg.
Yep, Nuremberg.
Name the African American who was arrested in December 1955 for refusing to give up a bus seat to a white passenger. Was it Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, or Rosa Parks?
Rosa Parks.
And it was Rosa Parks. In which spacecraft did Yuri Gagarin complete his historic orbit around the Earth on April the 12th, 1961? Luna 1, Vostok 1, or Mir 1?
Well, his name is Yuri, so I want to say he's Eastern European, likely Russian, 1961, around time of the Cold War. So I doubt it's Luna, because I only hear like Luna, stuff like that, like American crafts or American voyages. Vostok, that definitely sounds Russian, so I'm going with Vostok. Mir could also be about Vostok.
And that was in Vostok 1.
Nice.
What 1962 event brought the United States and the Soviet
Cuban
Union
Missile
to
Crisis.
the brink of nuclear war? The Cuban Missile Crisis, the Berlin Blockade, or the Warsaw Pact?
Definitely Cuban Missile
And
Crisis.
that was the Cuban Missile Crisis. In which US city did the assassination of President Kennedy occur
Dallas,
on
Texas.
November the 22nd, 1963? New York City, Washington DC, or Dallas?
Dallas, Texas.
It was in Dallas. The Apollo 11 module landed on the moon on July the 20th, 1969. Where did they touch down? The Ocean of Storms, Sea of Tranquility, or Sea of Clouds?
I got no idea. I got absolutely no idea. I'm going to go with... I can't imagine having a Sea of Tranquility when everything has something to do with water. I don't know. I'm going to go with Sea of Clouds. I can't imagine Tranquility being up there in space. It's just black and void. There's nothing out there. You can't see anything.
The correct answer here, the Sea of Tranquility.
Okay, I was absolutely wrong on that.
The fall of which city in 1975 marked the end of the Vietnam War? Hanoi, Nha Trang, or Saigon?
I'm going to go with Saigon, but that could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know much about
And the
Vietnam
answer,
War.
Saigon.
Okay, cool. I don't know much about Vietnam.
In which country are the killing fields where the Khmer Rouge regime
Cambodia.
committed genocide in the
I know
70s?
this.
Thailand, Vietnam, or Cambodia?
I know this one because this is one of the biggest examples I pull up when I talk about totalitarianism, communism, and just letting people's, I don't know, words of saying they want to fix everything, or they say they have a solution to how to stop the bad people or to stop inequality. Yeah, this is one of the examples I pull up because you think some of these people are nice and tranquil and good, but if they're willing to do all this stuff to the quote unquote enemy, what makes you think they can't do it to you? And that's why I don't trust people like this. I consider people like Pol Pot, Stalin, Mao, all these people like evil pieces of trash. And that's why I don't support any totalitarianism. And I don't support any type of system collapse, especially within the West. Reform a system, taking out corruption is a much better path, if you ask me, because corruption comes about in many different ways. Democracy, capitalism, communism, there's always going to be corruption. So having communism or anything else in favor of being more in favor of communism and socialism against capitalism doesn't just gonna fit stuff, if you ask me. And we see that with Pol Pot, we see it with Stalin, and we see that with Cambodia. That's just how I see things. I could be wrong though, but I'm gonna bet on that compared to betting on this.
And they are in Cambodia. Who invented the World Wide Web in 1989? Was it Tim Berners-Lee, Bill Gates, or Paul Allen?
I don't know, but I'm gonna say Paul Allen. I think it's Paul Allen.
And it was Tim Berners-Lee.
Okay, I don't want that.
What event in November 1989 marked the symbolic end of the Cold
Berlin
War?
Wall.
Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan, the fall of the Berlin Wall, or Ronald Reagan's speech in Berlin?
Yeah, definitely the Berlin Wall.
And it was the fall of the Berlin Wall.
That's easy.
In February 1990, Nelson Mandela was released after spending how many years in prison? 5, 16, or 27?
I believe it was 27. He lost like a good chunk of his life, I think.
And the answer is 27.
Yeah, it was a
Okay,
long
there's so
time.
many events in our world history, I couldn't possibly include them all in this quiz.
Definitely.
Do you have a favourite history question that you'd like to ask to the world? Then drop it in the comments down below and let's hear it. Check out my Amazon page for things that I think you'll find interesting. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, share your score, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, so I'll definitely check out more of his quizzes in the future, especially if you guys like this video and you're interested in more of this type of stuff. I think I got maybe like 10 or 9 questions wrong. There were some like gaps I didn't know about and some guesses I definitely got wrong. And that's just stuff more for me to research and learn about. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting quizzes like this wrong. It's just testing yourself. And if you're wrong on something, that's just a new avenue. That's just a new topic for you to learn more about and become an expert in. Well, you don't have to be an expert, just have a passion for it because you love knowledge. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I enjoy doing this type of stuff. And it is something that I probably will do in my free time, but who knows? So sometimes I just want to learn. Sometimes I feel like testing myself. So it is what it is. But I overall enjoyed it. Let me know if you did too. It's your boy Logos. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Peace.